Welcome to the Brand Wise podcast, where we talk about the big branding moves that business owners are making and the why behind it. I'm your host, Jess Freeman, here to help you be wise and be bold. Hello, hello. I am very excited about today's episode because it is with one of my past clients, Sara. We worked together last summer. It's actually like as we're recording this and about when it will come out, it's been like almost 1 year exactly. Like I just realized that as I was saying this. So that's really fun, but very excited to just talk about your rebrand and all the kind of fun stuff that's happened. So to kick us off, tell us about what you do and what your brand is all about.
Well, I'm a dietitian, registered dietitian, and I own a virtual practice that helps people of all ages. And my business is focused on anti-inflammatory and just helping people feel better one family at a time.
And we have been connected on Instagram for, I don't even know, several years. So I was very excited that we got to work together last year. So when we worked together, we rebranded. So you got a whole new logo, entirely new website. I want to talk about what made you decide to rebrand. Like, talk to us about the old version of Aspiring Sprouts and what made you last year like, okay, I'm going all in. I need all the new things.
I feel like, and it's recently, I was thinking, when did my rebrand start? And yes, we worked together a year ago, but I think my rebrand started like 6 to 8 months prior to that because I
Mhm.
was kind of going through almost a niche change when I first started my business because I've been a dietitian for over 10 years. And I was working in clinical and then in the community, and my primary focus was pediatrics for a long time. But as a dietitian, I mean, the beautiful thing about being a dietitian is that you can kind of rebrand or re-niche yourself all the time. And we have lots of skills, lots of continuing education, lots of different credentialing, that sort of thing. So about 2023, I realized that most of my money that I was bringing into Aspiring Sprouts was not coming from pediatrics. I was all of my Instagram, it was like pediatric nutritionist. It was all of my content was about feeding kids and family, and even my programs were primarily for I was making like online audio style courses for pediatric, and I would get a client here and there, but mostly I was getting adults reaching out and being like, Sarah, like people who trusted me, friends, family,
Mhm.
referrals from other people, people who were like, I I really like you. Can you help me? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I realized through all of that, I was helping so many people. And most of my revenue for my business was coming from different places. So about in
Mhm.
23, I'm like, wow, like here I am, pediatric nutritionist, but I'm really like, am I? And so I started to kind of be like, how do I bridge these 2 opportunities? Because I didn't wanna
Mhm.
release the kids, but I kinda had to be realistic, like, is this gonna be an expensive hobby for me, or am I building a business that actually is gonna bring revenue? Because there's a clear sign that, like, obviously, I'm making way more money, and it's not all about making money, but, I do have a family, and I am part
Yes, yes.
monetary contribution, and I'm like, "I'm bringing in money over here. How can I build that up and still satisfy my compassion for family nutrition as well?" So, it was kind of right then where I'm like, "Okay, am I gonna lean into my, anti-inflammatory work, or am I gonna just, like, stronghold onto the pediatric where I'm, like, really not making any money at all?" But I'm helping a lot of people. I was giving out really great information, and I in my DMs, people were like, "Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much." I'm like, "Oh, okay." How do I make a business off this? So
Mhm.
I realized I needed to change, like, big time, and so I kinda started back at end of 23, and then when did I reach out to you? I feel like it was spring of 24?
Yeah, it was like late spring, like probably April or May when you
Yeah,
reached out.
because I realized because I had, as you know, done my website all by myself, and, I feel I was telling my husband, back then I'm like, "I just feel like I'm doing somebody else's job." I'm like, "I'm not very good at it. I'm not getting clients." I didn't feel comfortable sending people to my website. I mean, it had a bunch of information, like a lot of information. It was just not converting at all, and I was still really needing that sales call, or I don't like calling them sales calls, but it is like a free consult call to
Right,
explain
right.
it. I not that I don't love them, I still love them. I had 3 of them this morning. I love them to connect when people have clarifying questions, but now it's so much easier where they get on the call with me and they have very few questions about what I do, how much it is, or anything. They just wanna know me, which is
Mhm.
my favorite part because I wasn't,
Yes.
like, having to tell them all the things, how all of it works. They just kind of like, I have a really good feeling about this. I really want to work. I still need to get to know her first to see if this is a good fit because I'm not for everybody. And they have to know that. So it was a huge, huge shift. And I finally, like last spring, I was like, I need to pay Jess to help me.
You're like, "I need to make this change and really, like, fully step into it." Um,
Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
because it is difficult when you're like, "Oh, I'm attracting these people, but then I'm still having to get on the calls and, like, I'm not selling the things I wanna sell and, like, I need to talk about this more." Like, it's just a lot going on, but I really wanna commend you because you hired both a coach and a designer, and one, that's just it's a lot of investment, like, it's a lot of investment, but it is sometimes people think it's just easier to figure it out ourselves and like, "Oh, well, I know my business best," but sometimes that outside perspective, like your coach being like, excuse me, why are you not talking about this?" Like and I can't remember what it was. I There was something during the process that I was like, "I'm sorry, why is this not on your website?" Like
It was probably my LEAP MRT test. It was like
Yes, I think
I wasn't talking about it at all because I use, like, anti-inflammatory like, now I would say I'm very anti-inflammatory focused for people of all ages rather than I'm
yeah.
pediatric and family nutrition. Yeah, which, has shifted even from the last year, actually, have shifted a wee bit because 'cause I'm leaning in even more. I'm like, "Okay, I'm leaning here," and
Mhm.
now I'm, like, pushing it. Now I'm like, "This is where I finally feel comfortable doing it." I guess it was
Yeah.
I guess just it comes down to feeling comfortable with what you're doing. I was comfortable doing pediatric nutrition, and so, of course, my brain's like, "Nope, this is what we're doing. You've been doing this for 8 plus years." Like,
Mhm.
I wasn't comfortable doing anything different. So, finally, now I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I'm comfortable after I've done this for, like, 3 plus years now to,
Yes.
like, get into that."
Yes, which I think is totally normal to I think that happens a lot when people rebrand or niche down or pivot or, like, whatever you wanna call it. I think that happens a lot more than people realize that, like, sometimes it can take a while to, like, feel comfortable talking about this or, like, fully leaning in, and I think that's part of what holds back other dietitians from
Mm.
rebranding because 'cause they're like, "Well, right now, in this moment, like, part of me thinks, 'Oh, I should niche down to do XYZ,' but I don't feel 100% comfortable for, like, whatever reason. Not because, oh, I don't have the experience, I don't have the credentials, but, like, oh, I just don't know, and so, like, I should just wait until I'm, like, 100% in or, like, feel comfortable talking about it." And I don't mean this as, like, a like, woo-woo, like, push yourself, like, mindset coach kind of vibe. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we do have to just kind of, like, "Oh, I'm gonna push myself, like, not 100% comfortable, but I know this is what I wanna do and is gonna be good for the business." So,
I
I'm
completely
I'm
agree.
glad you yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
I think that when I started my business, it was 21. So right after there had been this big boom, especially with dietitians in general. Like there had been, I mean, my very first coach that I hired was a dietitian and she had done the thing. She had started in 2020. She'd made like she was all of a sudden going from $40,000 a year to now $40,000 months. And it made it like very normal. Like I was in that algorithm, that echo chamber of like, this is what you can do. You can make your first 100K in the first year or 6 months, whatever. And so I'm like, oh, that sounds really nice. Like that. And then and then they were like, "And you also have to niche down." Like the biggest thing is you have to niche. Like, I think I went through practices of like what is like certainly like, "Oh, who are you talking to?" Okay, well, I was like, I guess I'm talking to moms, but I also talk to dads sometimes. Like, I love it when dads show up on the call. Like, but they were like, "No, no, no, who are you talking to? Like, are
Mhm.
they in mom bands or are they professionals?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't really know." Like, so it was really nice. God, just a shout out to your practice, like, when we were first designing, like, that exercise that you took me through was more
Mhm.
powerful than any business coach I ever had. Like, it was like I'm like, "Oh my God, I love this. Ask me these questions all the time because it" and I don't even have something off the top of my head, like, specific about it, I just remember going
Yeah.
through it because it wasn't I mean, yes, of course, there's a niche here, but it wasn't I don't wanna say superficial, but it some of those questions are superficial, like, are they wearing Lululemon or are they wearing
Oh my
Walmart brand?
gosh.
I don't
I
know, like, I don't care. Can they afford me? Like, do they wanna work with me? Can I
Yes.
change their lives?
Mhm.
It's so yeah, it's really complicated out there, and I think 21 was a really interesting time to start my business. It was a wild experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, going back to the rebrand and even the 6 to 8 months prior to us working together, like, when you were like, "This is when it really started," and working on the site and the new brand and everything, what do you think was, like, one of the most unexpected challenges that you faced? And did you have any, like, "Oh, crap, like, what am I doing? I feel like I made a mistake." Did you have any of those moments?
100%. I have those moments, like, a lot, Jeff. Okay, so I think one of the biggest oh crap moments was I had spent, excuse me, years now, like trying to figure out, like, am I supposed to like really niche down? What if I mess it up? Like, what if I'm choosing the wrong thing? Like, what if I'm like
Mhm.
spending, I mean, 'cause the investment to get a new website to work with you, like to work with anybody, but like, what if I get there and I'm like, oh no, what if I'm doing this all wrong? Because I think naturally, I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but, like, with the whole imposter syndrome and, like I
Mhm.
didn't I'm a dietitian, I went to school for nutrition, and I have that part down. Business, it's like a whole new world, so I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time, and I was really worried that I was gonna spend so much time and money and resources just in general on something that A, I didn't like, or not because of you, but because I wasn't able to lean in and make those decisions, um, and felt uncomfortable that I wouldn't be able to change anything moving forward. Um, and I feel like that, yes, with the website, but I felt like that even with my Instagram page or my Facebook. Like I feel like I I actually know somebody right now who has almost 1,000 followers on one page, but the algorithm's not pushing out her stuff, so she's starting a brand new page, and I'm like, "I don't know, I don't have all the answers," but I'm like, "Why would you do that? Just change what you're sharing."
No.
It's just you already
Yes.
have 1,000 or 800 followers, like, just use them, and, like, if they fall off, that's fine, like, then you're not gonna talk to them anyway. But I didn't have that confidence. It takes time to
Mhm.
build. It takes time and experience and just confidence of trying things. I'm really good at failing at things because I do it, like, all the time. But I have failed a lot,
Same,
and it's
same.
totally fine for me now. Whereas, like, young Sarah, like, 16-year-old be like, "What? You messed up?" And now I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did. I really did." But,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I did, and I do it all the time. But I think you have to mess up and make mistakes and so I really it was a practice moving through our work together. I had to kind of remember that. I had to be like, it's gonna be okay. Like, and plus I think hiring somebody who you trust, whether it's
Mhm.
a web designer or a dietitian, there's a difference when you really trust somebody
Mhm.
and know that they have your best interest at hand. You're not just gonna be like, whatever. I remember my mom being like, "Make sure the web designer" she like because she's had bad experiences with web design, and she's like, "Make
Yes.
sure that in your contract, like, if you need a fix them up" I forget what she said, and I'm like, I'm sorry you had your experience. I'm like, I'm very calm. I'm a designer, like, so, like,
I remember you telling me whatever it was that your mom had said, and I was like,
she made me
that is
promise
a
to
new
ask
one."
yeah, she made me
Yes.
promise, like, "Promise me you'll just ask her. I know you like her, but can you I'm like, "I will bring it up."
Look, mom I appreciate mom looking out for you,
I
okay?
know.
I
I
I
know, yes.
respect it. I respect
Mom's
it.
still mom and her 40-plus-year-old daughter, so, like
Mhm.
but
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about, like, the challenges and all of that, I wanna flip it to what are you most proud of with your rebrand and the changes that you've made in your business?
Oh my gosh, so I think just what's coming off the top of my head right now, my most favorite thing is the logo. Like, I love the logo. Like, I love my logo, which
She's holding up a sticker with her logo.
my little sticker with my logo. And as you might remember, like, I trademarked Aspiring Sprouts, um,
Mhm.
because I actually had to it Aspiring Sprouts is my rebrand. Like, you're my rebrand, because my business name is
Mhm.
actually RX Food. But then when I was first starting my business, I had to change my name because I wasn't sent a, cease and desist letter, but my lawyer at the time, she was like, "Whoever owns FoodRx is sending out cease and desist letters, so you might not wanna use that if you're gonna be online." I chose Aspiring Sprouts, and then I trademarked it. So having it, like, the logo itself and I think the aside from that, that seems a little superficial compared to, like, now I send everybody to my website. Like, you have a question on my website. You have whether you're my
Mhm.
neighbor or you're somebody who is just referred, like, here is my website, and it has so much information. And you can dive in, you can learn about me more, you can find my social medias, you can get on my email list, you can learn about my services that I have right now. You can know price. You can know, like, I mean, the only thing that's not on there are like payment plans, but you can get there actually. Like, that's in my portal, but you have
Mhm.
full price, you have information about me, you have client reviews, like, it's just such a nice little it's like my little office space. It's like,
Mhm.
here's a little here's all the information. I think it's so, so nice, and I know I kind of talked about it a little earlier. Now when people if they have gone to my website, because there have been people who were like, "Oh, yeah, you sent me the link, I just didn't have time to look," and, then those calls are a little bit longer, but if they've gone to my website and they have looked at what they need to, and they still got on the call, like, honestly, Jess, I have, like, a 70% client close rate on my
Love it.
calls, like, and that just wouldn't have happened, and I keep track of it, and I think a lot of it I know a lot of it is because they're not getting on the calls with me if they can't afford me, if it's not the program that they want, if I can't solve their problem, and they find all of that information from my website that you've designed.
Mhm.
So, is that I
I love it. I love it so much. And I totally relate to like the calls kind of shifting because when I niched down even more last year, that also changed. Like, because I've had so many calls this year that I mean, I remember it was like one of my first ones of 2025. And she was like, hey, like, and I asked her something. She's like, oh, honestly, like, I already know I want to work with you. I just like wanted to chat. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay." And I've now had a few of those, and so and of course, like you said, totally fine to, like, have clarifying questions and that kind of thing. We still do want that, like, human touch. "Okay, but what do you really like?" Like, not just on screen, but, like, what are you actually like when I talk to you and hear your voice? Like, that's another level. So,
I
um,
completely
I'm
agree.
so glad that yeah,
Yeah. I the
that you're
first time
so
it
you've seen
happened
all these results.
oh, yeah, no, it's amazing. The first time it happened, this woman, she got on the call, she booked in, I didn't know her. She was a referral, so that also helps when somebody like, "Oh, my friend told me, about you." When she got on the call, and so I was kinda doing my old spiel, like, answering the questions, the most common questions and this, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, how do I pay?" She's like, "Can I just give you my credit card?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna take it over the phone, but I'll send you an enrollment link and you have a contract to sign." And stuff. I thought she was
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh." And so now that it gave me such a nice opportunity to kind of reflect. I'm like, "Okay, so now I get to, like, where are you at?" Like, in our calls, like, I in the
Mhm.
first few minutes, I'm like, "Okay, is this more clarifying and they're ready, or do they really need more, information from me to decide? Do they need
Yes.
help making a decision, or have they decided and we're ready to go?" But
Mhm. Yeah.
I
I
was
love
surprised.
that.
"Oh, I like that." Yeah, I'm
Yes.
like
I love it. Okay, so I know you mentioned like the close rate and obviously like the calls are going better. Has there been any have you noticed any other kind of like impact on your business since the rebrand?
Yeah, I 100% have more clients. I already have almost as many clients as I helped all last year. So,
Mhm.
and my prices have increased. So like certainly I'm growing as a business. I started paying myself last year at the end of the year, which is like a big thing for me. I'm like, I'm actually like seeing money. Whereas before it would like,
Yes.
how thin it is sometimes as an entrepreneur where you're like, well, okay. So thankfully I
Mhm.
have my husband. So I 100% my business has completely, grown. And I would say
Mhm.
it it looks like from the last half year of the year last year. And we ended in I think it
Yeah.
went live like June 27th or something. So like June was like
Yeah. Yeah.
last half of the year was like by far my biggest. And I think it just came from so much more confidence of like, here's my website. I mean, all the things we've already talked about, including like just feeling more confident. I mean, I want to say that I was proud of my old website because I did it myself and I'd done it like a bunch of times. Like
Mhm.
I was just always tinkering with it.
Right.
So I wasn't really super stoked on sending people and like starting in June of last year, July, I guess. Like I wish it yeah, just go check it out and
Mhm.
learn all the things. I would say that. And then also I have been reached I mean clients, yes. But also I think now doctors' offices and I don't accept insurance. So doctors have to be careful with like who they send
Mm.
people to.
Mhm.
You know, we don't have contrary to some people who I've talked to's belief, there's not just like an office of dietitians in my area that are just waiting to be like, we're not just like waiting to be like hired. In our area, there's not a ton of dietitians. And I think Nevada only has like 200 licensed dietitians, and that includes
Wow.
Vegas. So
Yeah.
or 200-ish. So not a ton of us, and a lot of them are gonna be in the hospital. I mean, they're just like,
Mhm.
if there are only 200 of us and all the hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, like, so there is a need for dietitians, but, it is nice to have a space where people professionally can be like, "Oh, is this somebody who I can hire?" It's nice that I'm getting other people calling
Mhm.
me, whether or not it's really worked out so far, but, like, speaking gigs in the future, I've spoken at a couple of dance studios, and primarily, they've seen my website, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, she looks that's great, she has a dance history," so I think that it in addition to, like, my one-to-one and my group clients, it's a beautiful space to grow even more professionally, networking-wise, and,
Mhm.
I haven't focused on that yet, but already I can tell it brings in different opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not naive to think that like the website itself is just what because we all get referrals and we have social media and like all those kinds of things. And so while yes, like maybe some of the clients came from SEO or like, okay, this person, like I've had clients who tell me like, oh, well, I got XYZ number of inquiries or speaking gigs or whatever. And these people weren't on my email list. They don't have social media. Like they literally only experienced my website. But for most of us, like the website is just part of like the ecosystem. It's just part of the brand. And so while yes, I do believe that it helps a lot and contributes to it, I'm also not naive enough to like try and make you believe that it is the sole factor that is contributing to it. But like you said, you have seen a very large increase in those clients and the people and the fewer calls and all that kind of stuff. So I just want the listeners to know, like, I'm not over here like trying to make you believe that like the website is the sole reason that everything is better. Like, it's another year in business. You have more, like you've had X number of clients, that's X number of people, more people that can make more referrals. Like, there's all these contributing factors, and the website is, in my opinion, a big part of it, but it's not the only factor. To wrap up, I wanted to ask, what advice do you have for someone who is thinking of rebranding? If there's a dietitian listening who's like, I don't know what to do and it seems scary, any advice, small or big?
I would say do it. And I think my advice would be to find somebody who you truly trust. Like for me, it was
Hmm.
you, Jess. And for other people, it might not be, but probably.
Yeah, that's,
Uh,
which is totally fine.
yeah. But I would say just start, ask the questions. If you're considering it, I would, yes, just do it, or at least initiate it. At least ask the questions. Get on this
Hmm.
on the calls. Interview a couple different people if you feel like you need to, but I would just start because otherwise we and I'm sure a lot of dietitians can relate, like, we keep thinking, like, we'll just do it another time, like, "Oh, well, maybe we need
Hmm.
more information about it," and then realize if you need to change things, you can change things, but,
Yes.
just ask the question.
I love it. Yes. And it truly, like, asking the questions, because sometimes I have actually told people, like, I don't think like, I think you need to go do XYZ first. So sometimes it might be that you need to work on something else, like you're not ready, or I'm like, oh, it doesn't really sound like you need a rebrand. Like, you just need to like work on your SEO, or you need to do XYZ on your site. Like, you don't actually need a full thing. So I think sometimes even those questions can give you clarity about if the rebrand is right now, or even sometimes it's like, okay, so now I have all this information and I can like save it, and maybe you need to save up money. Maybe it's like, okay, it's my busy season at home, but now I have this information and I can plan to do it at the end of the year, or like whatever it is. But sometimes just asking the questions is enough of a move in the right direction to get things, started. So
Yeah,
I think it was
love it.
good advice. Well, thank you for sharing your story today. I appreciate it. Where can we go check out your website, or, connect with you on social media?
Yes, please follow me at Aspiring Sprouts Nutrition, and my amazing website is aspiringsprouts.com.
Awesome. I will link to that in the show notes so y'all can go check it out. But thank you again for chatting. Are you a squiggle or a square? Go to justcreatives.com/quiz to find out where your brand ends up and find out what a square or squiggle even means. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to leave a review or share it on Instagram, and tune in next week for another episode.